Hey y'all, welcome to day 2, computer coding. For any of you having trouble, if you're having trouble running some projects, here's one issue that some people may have. If I go to the properties of this folder, you can see that it's inside of a location where there's no spaces in any of these folders. If you have some weird spaces in here, like maybe your name, Mr. Space for Zynga, and then your dev folder, that can cause code blocks to freak out, because remember that code blocks uses, where's my PowerShell? Code blocks uses all this kind of stuff to type, and it uses all the command prompt to run all of its code. And if you have, watch what happens when I try to get into program files, for instance. There's my C drive, right? Here's all the folders in my C drive. I have one called program files. Watch what happens if I just type program files like this. It won't know what to do, I don't think. See that? It's because there's a space there, and it doesn't, like, it thinks that files is a command it's trying to send. So if I accidentally hit program files and get it to auto type, it does some weird stuff to program files before it launches into that folder. And CodeBlocks doesn't know how to do that automatically. It messes up, so just be careful. Most coding languages have that issue, and Windows tries really hard to work around it, but CodeBlocks doesn't. And it causes your programs not to work. Okay. Here we go. We got, yesterday we had a green circle running on the screen, correct? Actually, mine was magenta. Slow there. Not sure why it's so slow. There it goes. First run of the day was slow. Let's get this circle to bounce off the walls. So, maybe what I'll do is make my circle a little bit smaller, maybe 20 pixels. So under set radius I can hit 20. That's a good size ball there. I'm going to move it also, not just 5 to the right, but 5 down as well. So that, actually, you know what? I might not do that yet. I want to try to get it to bounce off the wall first. So what I have to do is let's keep this at 100, I guess, and see if we can get this to bounce off of there and come back to us. Okay, so I know my screen has a width of 800 pixels, and I need to change this from 5 to -5 as soon as the ball gets to that 800 pixel mark. Okay, so what I should probably do here is not make it the number 5, but make it some sort of variable, like x step or something. And that can be, I think, it will work as an integer, but all numbers in SFML code relating to any of the graphics are almost always floats. See how this radius is 100.0? So I'm going to make my variable, and I'm going to call it x step. I'm going to let it equal 5. Okay? And here I replace 5 with x step. And that shouldn't change anything. That should make my ball move to the right. Great. However, if now I need to know the position of my circle. Okay, this is the name, this is the variable type circle shape, and this is the name of my variable. So is there a command under shape, the shape variable, that gets the position? Let's see, there's a lot of get commands: get outline, get global bounds, get color, get point. There is a get position command. It's right here. Okay. But it's a vector2f variable. That's a built-in SFML variable that keeps track of an x and a y position. So I need to hit dot after it and pick the x. That will show me, that will spit out the x position of my ball. Okay? If it's ever greater than 800, what I want to do in this if statement is just make x step equal minus 5. Let's see what happens. Okay. That was, what it did here was, if I can pause it, it went all the way past the screen. So it looks like it's referencing the circle from the top left corner. There's a way to change that, by the way, but when I'm getting the position of my, my circle, let me just stop it from moving for a second. When it spits out the position of the circle, it actually spits out the top left corner right here. So when it says, when it's getting the x position, this is the position 0 right here. Okay? And there's a way to change it so that whenever, like your anchor point would be the center of the circle, but that doesn't matter for us right now. So instead of saying maybe 800, I'll say 700 because I know my ball has a radius of 100, and then the 700 would give me 800 for the width of my screen, the total width. So this should make it bounce better. Let's have a look. There you go. Boom. Oh, that was interesting. Is it because my radius is 100 and this should probably be 600 then, because if my radius is 100, then the actual diameter of the ball is 200. So let's see if it bounces off the edge. That's better. Okay. The other one I could do here, I'll make an else if statement, and I'll say else if shape dot. As soon as you start typing get position, it'll find it for you, which is very nice. And hit dot x like that. And I'll say if it's ever less than 0, I want to make x step equal plus 5 like that. So now it should bounce left and right. Good. And it does. Nice. And now I want it to move down as well. So I'm also going to make a y step variable. And I'll make that 5 as well. And here could be y step like that. And now I'll make sure that it's moving down. By the way, plus in the y direction is down in SFML and negative is up. So this is kind of like 0, 0 here. And then if you move it, if you move it plus 500 pixels down, plus 500 pixels, it actually moves it down. So there you go. It's bouncing off into outer space right now because we haven't made an if statement to check if it bounces in the y directions. Again, I just go shape.getPosition. That's a command that returns a 2D number, so I hit dot on it just like I would on a regular variable that has functions attached to it. And I pick the y this time. And here I'm going to say greater than 400. The reason I say greater than 400 is because if I look at the size of my screen, it's 600 pixels instead of 800. So the ball's radius is 100 and its diameter is 200. So I'm just checking if it's ever bigger than 400 plus the 200 would give me the 600. If it is, I'll make y step equal negative 5. Okay, let's see if that bounces off the bottom of the screen. Yep, looks pretty smooth too. 60 frames a second. And then if I type else if shape.getPosition dot y, if it's ever less than 0, what I want to do is make y step equal plus 5. So So there you go. These commands all have to be in this while loop, by the way, because this is the code that's running 60 times a second. If I take all this code and put it outside of this loop, it will never check it. It'll check it once, right before the game starts running. Not the game, or the code starts running. But it won't bounce it. Do you see that? Because these if statements need to be checked 60 times a second. Okay? When you have a major game, a AAA game, that's written on C++, all of the code is inside of a while loop, and it has to run 60 times a second or more, right? So you can imagine like a game like GTA that's 5 million lines of code. All of those lines of code have to run 60 times a second for that game to run smoothly. So there you go. We're bouncing. Cool. There you go. That's how you get a ball to bounce. You could also change the color if you wanted to. I think that's what the lab says. And so how you do that is, again, you grab, so there's the 4 chances that this ball can bounce are all in these if statements, right? And if I hit shape like this and hit dot and then hit set, well, let's look at all the commands here. Set fill color is the one I want. Okay? It's looking for this variable type called color, but there's a trick where you don't have to make your own color. You can actually pick one here. If I type the word color and pick green, well, I could just write colon green. There's a way to pick any color you want, but we're not going to worry about that for now. So if it hits the side, it'll turn green. I'll paste this here and pick a different color. Type colon and see what my options are. Cyan, sure. And hit this one. Hit colon and hit yellow. And then the last one I will paste in colon and do, have I done red yet? No. There you go. So let's see what happens. Just change colors when it bounces. Yep, there it goes. It's like a little poopy screensaver. Pretty cool, eh? There you go. Ball bouncing. Pretty neat. So try that. I will post another video on adding like pictures to your graphics so that you can move little images around today as well. Okay? Stay tuned.